Hello there, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 4-0 Sunday Live. It's great to have you with us. And guess what? We are now episode 22 of our live shows. Our panel tonight consists of these wonderful gentlemen. A very good evening to Lincoln fan Jake, Aaron, Mr. Fish Tank is here. Reese has joined us all the way from his taxi room, and Gaz is here all the way from Malta as well. A very good evening to you all. Jake, still smiling? No? No one can hear me. Can he hear me? No, he can't. You still smiling, son? No, he can't hear me. Great. Aaron, are you smiling?
Disappointing. Very disappointing. Should have won that, but Mr. Colby flumped it in the last second, one-on-one with the keeper. Should have been the best goal ever. The limbs would have been flying at Lincoln. But, yeah, sadly, walking away with 1 point feels like a loss. We did put an effort in after they brought on the subs and everything, the manager, which is like what you said in the video yesterday. It's what we've been missing. Brings on the subs and everything, changes the course of the game. Technically, I thought it was a very good decision to do them subs when he needed to, but it's just that final third that we're missing. Yeah, it's just a shame, especially after the result against Burton. Yeah, it seems a long time ago now, but yeah, but we move on.
We do indeed. Good evening to everyone who joined us live across YouTube and Facebook this evening. There's 133 of you that are in from the very start, so thank you for being with us. Barry said playoffs now seem out of reach. Time for experiment with some different formations, tactics with an eye on next season. Aaron's reminded everyone to hit the like button in answer to the question. Leo said, yes, very much over. And Team Phoenix said, don't get your hopes up, not a chance in hell for the playoffs. Barley said, oh, come on, how deluded must anyone be to think we'll get in the playoffs? And Dylan said, evening, gentlemen, was a class weekend. Cheers for the hospitality, Jake. And that's where I was going to start, mate. I was going to ask you if you're still smiling. Melissa said it's great to see Gaz as well on the stream. So welcome back to Gaz, who's with us this evening too.
Hello, Melissa.
And Dan said, Sundays are amazing with the 4-0 team. Well, Dan, we are grateful that you're with us, mate. And maybe it's not going to be an amazing stream tonight because everyone's a little bit fed up. But Jake's not. Jake's just happy to be here on the ride. Tell us about yesterday, mate, and thanks for having us.
Mate, you and Dill were more than welcome. Hopefully you'll be back next year, and hopefully you bring some more members of the 4-0 team with you next year. But no, overall, from a Lincoln point of view, I think we're feeling the same as you. We're disappointed we've not got 3 points based on the chances that we had, but also at the same time feel a little bit lucky that we've also not, walked away with no points. So I think a draw was the right result, if I'm honest. But yeah, still sat here going, you know what? Only if Jack Diamond had tucked away those chances, only if Danny Mandroy's ball, was an inch lower, then would have won the game. But that's football, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and we'll crack on and chat about Lincoln in a moment. Before we get stuck into our trip yesterday, we did, of course, celebrate a win under the lights at Fratton Park midweek against Burton Albion. We left it late, Reese, but as always, and good evening to you, by the way, as always, a win is a win, and it was a great 3 points midweek at Fratton.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, against Burton, it was a pretty flat atmosphere, as we could all tell, obviously, throughout the 90 minutes. However, balls into the box were very good that night. Chances were created. I suppose it could echo, obviously, Lincoln game in all due respect in terms of, obviously, chances created, but not finishing teams off. And obviously, we left it late, but, 3 points is 3 points. And you thought that would give us enough confidence to go to Lincoln to get the 3 points in the end.
Did you feel like Tuesday night would be the catalyst, Gaz, for the Burton Albion game, and maybe that give us the confidence going into the weekend to say, look, you can win it late if you keep probing, then the chance will come. Sadly, that obviously wasn't the case, but a good way to win nonetheless in the dying embers of the game, courtesy of Dane Scarlett.
Yeah, right, Charlie. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good everyone in the stream. Yeah, I thought the Burton game, obviously, it looked like we were more, obviously, possession-wise, 60-70%. Throughout the game, so it looked. It was I'm not saying it was a training game because it was still hard work. You still got to you play what's in front of you. But I thought it would have been a good start, well at least like a bounce back for the game against Lincoln, because obviously Lincoln's home form at the moment in the league is phenomenal. They're unbeaten, and you can see why yesterday. But yeah, Burton, it was it's sort of like snatch grab at the end. Did we deserve it on the night? It's a tough one, because Burton still huffed and puffed at the end of the day, and we left it very, very late. Unfortunately, in that game, we've obviously picked up a couple of more injuries. I mean, it's been a season of injuries and woes and stuff like that. But it's good to see Mousinho's, he's using, like Aaron said there, it's the subs. The subs at the moment are coming on and they're having an influence on the game, and it's doing it at the right time. We've had a lot of managers lately have done late substitutions, and by then the game's gone. So at least we're sort of like looking a bit earlier to try and change the game. And huffed and puffed. I thought we could have gone on to the Lincoln game obviously we would have gone into the Lincoln game with a bit more confidence, but obviously yesterday it is what it was.
And just to build on the subs point as well, I really like the way in which he has a different game plan for each different game, Mousinho. I think he tends to, whereas, as you mentioned, with previous administrations, we probably would have been set in our ways and, we do this, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But actually, I feel like we're trying to change things around every single game. We were a different side on Tuesday to the game that played on Saturday. Yeah, that's a one win, one loss. It's not an amazing week, but at the same time, it's nice to see that fluidity there. Logan said, Tom, last week you said Pompey had to win 4 out of the next 5. Does that mean we now win 3 on the bounce? Well, 4 out of the next 5 is possible, of course, but I was hoping that the loss wasn't going to come at the weekend. Dan said the way Tuesday and Saturday panned out tells us exactly what we need to improve. Got to get ruthless. Aaron, do you think we've got a ruthless edge in us?
It's difficult because we're starting a rut. There's still hardly any confidence in our team. You can see it's there. The players. We've got really, really good players. But it's just getting that confidence and belief to actually play. We're getting more balls into the box, which I really do like. But then we just got to be more. We have to be do tackles like yesterday with Tunnicliffe. That was phenomenal. If he didn't have his trailing leg back, he would have been sent off with that. But he did get the ball first. But we need to be more clinical as well. And that final third, we just need that chemistry at the top. All over the pitch, we are doing okay. But it's that final third. And with the manager as well, you can actually see what he's doing as well. He's taking one game at a time. He's studying that team, seeing their weaks, the abilities they have and their weaknesses as well. And that's why you're seeing the changes of the substitutions at the time. So he's actually doing his homework, unlike previous administrations, which I like. I really, really do like and everything. But is it too late to actually get to the playoffs? We still got a chance. It is still playable. Mathematically speaking, we can get there. Can we beat them teams in the top 6? On our day, we could. But now we've got that new manager. He does his homework. He studies the forms of these other teams. It didn't work really yesterday, but it was very, very close. So, yeah, I think playoffs are still there. But we just got to keep winning and start winning games and scoring more than just one goal.
Reece, there was a cheeky smile that came across your face when Aaron mentioned the P word. Anything that you wanted to add?
Obviously, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I completely understand that. Obviously, we want to be optimistic. As Pompey fans, we want to be thinking we can reach it, of course. But when you look at the points difference, and that's only one thing you need to consider. The other thing is that you need everybody to be losing around you. So there's already a huge gap in place without the consideration of other teams' forms dipping as well. And I personally believe with how many games are left and the points difference now, even the most optimistic Pompey fan, including myself, I'm kind of accepting it now.
Right, well, let's move on to chat about the Lincoln game. Jake's going to get his smile on again. Before we do so, let's take a look back at our Sincil Bank stalemate.
Good evening, Andrew!
Yeah, good evening, Tom.
We've shown in recent weeks that we can beat anybody, and I think they'll be up for it today as well.
Well, what about you, sir? What's your name?
2-1, Ash.
Your name's not 2-1, it's Ash.
No, it's not 2-1, it's Ash.
That was a little bit squeaky bum time early doors, wasn't it? It's all right, it's all right.
Go on, Rico!
Not been quite as ruthless in attack as you'd probably like, but overall not a poor half.
Fairly end-to-end, nothing particularly clinical by the team. Still confident, I reckon we can still get 2, but if we're not careful defensively, they could easily get at least 1 or 2.
Oh, mate. Colby's onside. Over the crossbar, and I just looked at the rest of the boys in mint. Ryan Tunnicliffe just dropped to the floor. Joe Morrell can't believe what he's just seen.
We all are thinking the same thing now.
Probably, yeah. And I think even the most rosy-eyed, Pompey-tinted glasses of us among us, of which there are many that are watching, will come away from that slightly bemused and thinking, well, maybe that was kind of if that had been 1-0 Colby Bishop, the dream lives on for another week, doesn't it, perhaps? And
yeah, overall I feel like it should have been won by us 1-0, but is a draw a fair result? I don't know, probably, but we've just got to keep going.
Long drive home after a 0-0, 4 hours to reflect on what could have been.
Yes. On Colby, I want to watch that so many times back. Once I've seen this, I want to go, Colby! We've seen it enough times on the stream already tonight to be watching it back and thinking that was the big moment. We'll get the conversation about Colby out the way a little early doors if we possibly can. Gaz, I think we mentioned it very slightly earlier on, but that is the game-defining moment, isn't it? And I know that Jake will tell us that they've had plenty of chances, and we'll get into Lincoln's opportunities later on. But as I said, if Colby buries that, the playoff dream lives on another week, perhaps.
Yeah, it's confidence, isn't it? He looked like he was through on goal, and on his day, we know that 9 times out of 10 he would have buried that. But confidence, unfortunately, throughout the team at the moment, from goalkeeper situation to striker, it is pretty low at the moment. Unfortunately, we do look at the chances we had in that clip. We had at least at least 4 or 5 decent chances where on our day we would have buried them. So possession-wise, yesterday, I think we dominated parts of the game. But like I said earlier on, Lincoln are a strong outfit. They're not unbeaten at home this season for no reason. Plymouth have tried it, Ipswich have tried it, Sheffield tried it, we tried it. So it's still a good result. We didn't lose the game, but this season is all about draws. If we turned our draws into wins and our losses into draws, we'd be almost top of the table. It's just unfortunately this season too many draws, and that's going to be how our season is going to be defined, I think, this season.
Luke said playoffs have been over since the Peterborough game. Need to end this season strong and build for the next season. Alex PC said, look at the eyes as their recruitment has been utter. I'm not going to repeat that. It took 5 years to hire Richard Hughes, and that was 3 years too late. They should hang their heads in shame when we look where Plymouth are. And we actually spoke at length about that last week in terms of teams coming down and then going back up and then going down to League Two, etc., etc. Gaz said to me earlier on, Aaron, we didn't get turned over, we didn't get beaten. And actually, that was something that Massinho said after the game. And he's mentioned it there, that a lot of teams will go to Lincoln and be delighted with a point. A lot of teams will look to build and go for more than a point. And they've held some really good teams to a point this season. So perhaps we shouldn't be too disheartened.
No, not at all. We did well in certain areas of the game as well. Last 15 minutes, we actually played really, really well. That's what I want to see for the rest of the season. Us playing like that style and everything in that last 15 minutes. It is 90-minute game and everything, and Lincoln did have their chances and everything as well. But they didn't score against us. We kept a clean sheet. They're still unbeaten at home as well. So it was going to be a difficult day yesterday anyway. If Colby had scored that, completely different story, but he didn't. So we got to now focus on our next game and just think about our next game and only our next game. There's no point thinking about what's going to happen in 4 or 5 games' time. It's just like take one game at a chance and get back on the training ground. We got our next game is next Saturday. So it's just like, right, back to the training ground, start afresh, look at the squad that we've got and see who's actually fully fit to actually operate. But I think we will turn over a team and we're all going to be shocked because all of a sudden it's all going to gel, all going to come and fit into place. And you never know, stranger things happen. We could then go on an unbeaten run for about 10, 15 games. You never know, anything could happen, especially in this league. But then you've got to be realistic as well. We could get hammered for the next 15 games. Yep. But it's just how the team actually gels together, because you still think we've still got fresh faces in that squad since transfer window. There's still some of the old guard there as well. But it's just they've got to start playing together and linking up better play. You could see it happening in the defence, midfield and the forwards yesterday, but it's that final third. We need them goals coming in, and we need them coming in as quickly as possible.
Welcome to 169 of you that join us live across YouTube and Facebook, including Pepe Lacey, who said that is some lineup. I don't know if he's talking about Pompey's lineup yesterday or the lineup on the panel. If he is talking about the lineup on the panel, then that's very kind. And I'm sure we'll have Pepe back in the coming weeks. Mikey said, weird, scrappy game, looked good in spells, created chances, but also mistakes. Didn't seem to get out of first gear till near the end. Reece, you've seen the game back. Reece was at a spa day, if everyone's not aware.
Oh, God.
He's been pampered away, mate. He's been pampered. What did you make of it as a whole? Watching it back on reflection, how do you reflect on it?
I think on reflection, I suppose the only thing you could say is that we needed to take our chances at the end of it, because you can see the intention was there. There was obviously some fantastic opportunities for us to bury Lincoln, but with saying that, of course, I did watch back and see the chance that Lincoln had themselves. There was one or two opportunities as well where we were.
I'm really sorry, Reece. I'm really sorry. You're sounding very Dalek-y. I think you're about to turn into Doctor Who on us. I don't know if can you remove your earpods and then try and do a speaker that way. We'll let him. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll speak to Jake and we'll go through the Lincoln chances, Jake, because you had plenty of those as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? I genuinely think it would be a different game if Jack Diamond puts that away in I think it's the 4th or 5th minute. I think we then come out the blocks even quicker and then go and score a second, because if you look at the way that we've played this year in games that we've scored early, we've gone and scored again. So I think had Jack stuck it away, I just think he didn't make a decision in the right time. And when you've got 6'8" Matt Macy launched at you, then I think you've got to quickly make something within a flash. Obviously, we've had chances, like you said. Danny Mandroy hit the bar. Charles came on and did really well as well. I thought made Mason make a couple of saves, a couple square balls across the box that if players hadn't been on heels or players have picked out the right option, but that's football. And ultimately, I'm sat here with my Lincoln City goggles on, thinking that it's 2 points drop for us, similar way that you are as well. So. Overall, I think the draw was a fair result. Your keeper made some good saves. Rushy made some good saves, and I wasn't massively impressed by Portsmouth. There were some players I was impressed with. Joe Morrell being the big one. I thought Joe had a cracking game. He always does when he comes back to Sincil Bank, and just nice to see him and Sean, obviously. But we've got to take the positives that we made a load of chances against Portsmouth, who, let's be honest, they're a bigger football club, have a bigger budget than Lincoln City, and we could have won the game. So positives to take going into Forest Green on Saturday, but happy days, mate, for me, really.
So in answer to the question, I know you're on a Pompey stream and you're a Lincoln City fan. I completely get that. I think we've managed to over the last couple of weeks and over the weekend, I think Jake's developed a little bit of a soft spot for Pompey if you didn't have one already. The question at the top's are Pompey's playoff hopes finally over. I think we were probably saying before the game even kicked off that you were a little bit speculative as to whether we'd even have a chance at the playoffs at all. From an outside point of view, you're obviously looking at the table and you're thinking that is a long old gap to close. Yeah,
and if I'm honest, I think it's the top 7 now, not the top 10 that Pompey might want. I just can't see Pompey getting a better 15 results than Wycombe. If I'm awfully honest with you guys, it's a very tough league, and Wycombe they've won the last 5 and they're outside the playoffs still. Pompey is still inconsistent under Messinio. Like you said, you've only won 1 in your last 5, and Wycombe have won the last 5 and they're still outside the playoffs. So for me, I think the dream was over a long time ago for Portsmouth, but I just can't look past the current top 7, because for me, they are another level on top of where you guys are at the moment.
Gav said Colby is still, I think this is in reference to what we're talking about with Colby. He's plenty of credit in the bank, to be fair to him. He scored a lot of goals with very little service this season. Kit said, hi, all checking in from Los Angeles. Always look forward to the chats on Sundays. Thanks very much, Kit. I'm not sure what time it is for you under there. It's probably Sunday mid-afternoon live, but welcome. Pepe's not very well. We should mention that. He went to Lincoln with tonsillitis, so he's in the mud, as he would say. He wants to hear about the Friday night antics. Well, that can be designated for post-stream conversation. Noel said it's great to see the team getting more chances chances at goals week on week. Still hope the gelling can carry on into next season, play at Pompey. Alex, we mentioned earlier on, said, look, where Bolton and Plymouth are compared to us, it's not about money, it's about competence. This season has been 3 years in the making, and that stems from our recruitment, and it is obviously looking like it's going to be a 7th year in League One. Dylan said, did think bringing Paddy Lane off that early was a mistake. Can't help but think he would have finished off that chance Ronan had at the back post. Is a very good point. Pepe said, Joan Ralph for player of the season, got to be up there alongside Bishop. And Dan said, the goal difference tells us all we need to know on the table. Reece, let's try again. Are you still David Tennant, or are we okay? Now we can't hear at all, mate. So that's probably that's it. It wouldn't be a 4-0 Sunday live, would it? Right. Logan's mentioning what you said, Gaz, about draws. If we've beaten Lincoln, Plymouth, Fleetwood, Oxford, Shrewsbury, Ipswich, and Barnsley at home, they would be in the playoffs. Our forms this season at home hasn't been good enough. Is it Fratton Park that's been letting us down for you, Gaz? Do you think?
No, I think it's
or more of a general thing.
I think it's more of a general thing. Obviously, with the Cowleys going as well, that disrupted January, because obviously we didn't get a manager in. So that's one month. Confidence was low. Something was happening in the background, which probably we didn't know about. Obviously, you could tell frustration from Danny Cowley about injuries. Harry's injury. There was something in there. We just still don't know the ins and outs of that. Rafferty took an eternity to come back, but it's good to see him back. And then obviously other injuries, red cards, etc. throughout the season. It's just been one thing after another. I wouldn't say nothing to do with Fratton Park, because Fratton Park, most Saturdays is rocking. There's the 12th person behind the team, so. Am I still here? Am I still talking? Everyone's frozen on the stream. So
we've got you very slightly, Gaz. You're kind of dipping in and out, but we can hear you. We just can't see you particularly amazingly well. I think we need someone from, as Mikey said, we need someone from tech support to come in and give us a helping hand. Gaz, if you have a refresh, mate, we're going to try. Oh, Reece is popping around as well. Is Reece back with us? Please say he's back with us, for the Lord's sake.
I don't know if it's still a dot.
Tremendous. We've got you. Lovely. Crack on. Right. Yes, we can. Everyone's delighted. I can't believe we're so happy that we can hear Reece. It's great. Question for you then, Reece. Now we've got you. When are we going to start turning up before the last 20 minutes? And actually a little bit of a worry that I think Massinio said we seem to have been working on our final third action this week, and still we have the same issues lying where we just can't get up into gear, as we were mentioning from Massinio, and Gaz is having a refresh. So crack on, Reece.
Well, my sound's probably going to go again very, very soon, which I know you'll start laughing, and
no, you're fine.
Will
you're
be
good.
When I know.
You're good.
But no,
you're
in
good.
answer to your question, mate, to be honest with you, it's still early doors with a new head coach. He's still finding his way with what works and what doesn't work, and trying to find plan B to stuff. And unfortunately, if you think about the short time that he's been in place and the teams that we've played already, that could be another factor as to why obviously the last 20 minutes is always the intensity, because obviously the teams we have played have showed the intensity in the first 60 minutes or so in the game, such as Plymouth, Peterborough, them sort of teams. So that it's no excuse, of course, but he's still trying to find his feet with it all.
Let's talk about Colby in a little bit more detail, and I want this to come across in the right way, of course. But Aaron, if there was anyone else in our team that you'd want to put in front of that ball, have it fall in front of them at that moment on the pitch and in that position, it would be the man who, let's not forget, buried 2 penalties at Portman Road and has 16 goals to his name in all competitions for us this season.
He had an off day, but you give that chance another 20 odd times and he chuck it into the back of the net. So it was an off day. It was a mistake and everything, and he skied it. But any other week, any other game, he would have got that in the back. Hopefully it's a one-off. He's going to learn from that as well. So then his shots now are going to come down. Definitely going to come down and just pass it into the box. It's the same with all the players and everything. Because of what's happened over the last 8 months and everything is just, the confidence and everything is just not there with them. But if they had that confidence, it would be lovely football we'd be playing. But I feel sorry for Colby yesterday, and you can see how it affected the whole of the team, because they were all sitting down, fell to the ground thinking that should have gone in. So it's just like, it was one of them days. One of them days for Colby. Yeah, he's been a phenomenal player for us so far this season. So hopefully next week he'll score a couple.
Jake, what were you thinking in your end when he was through and he only really had your keeper to beat? Are you thinking Rushworth's doing well to close the angle, or are you thinking this is 0-1?
I'm thinking the same as Dill. When I spoke to Dill after the game, and he said when he was playing it back in his head, and he just said Colby Bishop always scores against us, which is something I said to him on Friday night over dinner, and I was just thinking, you absolutely, he's going to do it again. Did it 3 times last year for Accrington. I'm thinking he's going to come here and score a 1-0, winning goal again. But do you know what? I and this might be a hot take from a Lincoln point of view, but I think we actually deserved a little bit of luck, because I thought for the rest of the game, I thought we were excellent defensively. I think our 2 best players on the pitch were Pordy O'Connor and TJ Ayoma, who made that one mistake and ultimately you weren't able to capitalise. But, I've always got faith in Carl Rushworth. Carl Rushworth is a fantastic goalkeeper who you guys were linked with in the summer. And to be honest, over the 2 games against Pompey, has had 2 pretty decent games. And I think he deserved a little bit of luck because he's been fantastic all season. And I was worried to say the least, but I was laughing when the ball went over into the Stacey West.
I think we've got good news, everybody. I think Gaz is back with us.
Unbelievable. The missus is watching Italian Love Island, yeah? And it's like she's like messing about with the internet, like going from one internet router to another. And she kicked me off my computer. So I've just gone in here giving the Mr. Guinness, and Italian Love Island is no longer getting watched.
Anyway, he's back with us, everybody. He's back with us. We were talking a good evening to Rita if she's now watching in the other room without Italian Love Island on. We were just talking about Colby, Gaz, and how we were speaking about it before you left us. We're led to believe he apologised to the boys in the dressing room after the mistake he made. It's a highly charged moment, of course, and he's got a lot of flack for over the weekend. But as I've seen a lot of people say, he's where would we be without Colby Bishop this season?
Oh, yeah, I mean, straight away we watched him at Sheffield, didn't we? And he hit the ground running, and we thought, thank God we've got a striker, because we just got rid of Mark Miss. Obviously, we thought all of a sudden we've got a striker that can, that square thing in the middle with a net hit the goal. We've got somebody that can actually put the ball in the back of the net, and we thought, here we go. But yeah, he's been tremendous this season, up there for player of the season for me as well. It's just unlucky yesterday. It could have been I'd say a confidence thing. It could have been a bobble. Could have been one of them, just an off day, But he'll come back definitely next season for sure. We know he's a goal striker, so that's what we'll be missing. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. He runs everywhere around the pitch. For me, he gives everything for the badge, which is all I ask for. For anyone that puts that shirt on, they give me 90 minutes of their lives running around. I'm happy. I just don't want statues, I'm not going to mention anyone called Raggett sometimes. Do you know what I mean? But, I'm happy with Bishop.
Jake, would you repeating me what you said about Raggett on the way out, or when we got back to yours on Saturday night?
What about when he came over to the fans? That bit?
No. His general all-round day that he had.
Oh, well, he had a shocker, didn't he? Lincoln clearly targeted him pretty much from the first moment. I think Luke Plans probably could have got around him a few times, but I think, like has been said several times before on your streams, Tom, and in your videos, Sean has a ceiling, and whilst he has a great mentality, he is the weak link in this Pompey side. And I think Lincoln were able to cut onto it and spin him behind a few times. It only took 3-4 minutes for us to get him behind him straight away with Jack Diamond. So I'm hoping that's what I said to you when I got back, that he was the weak link.
No, that was it. Absolutely.
You sure?
I'm not, man. I said a lot to Tom when I got back to mine.
Reece, let's talk about this. This is quite important from Jeff. I mean, it's going to be quite impactful.
Yeah, as soon as I found out that he was out injured for 4 to 6 weeks through the interview with the head coach, he's going to be a big miss. You know what he's like in midfield, and that's the robot doing it again. So
yeah.
It was nice dancing anyway, can I just say.
It's not a robot so much. It just feels like, I don't know if something's not plugged in properly, or it's...
How can something be plugged in with an AirPod?
We're not laughing at you, Reese. We're just laughing at the noise that's
I
going on.
would.
Gaz, who's going to win Italian Love Island? Do we know if you've been keeping an eye on it or?
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. It's in darkness now, so it might be in a hub for me. So let's just keep talking football.
Denver Hume, Aaron, not even on the bench. Where's he gone?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Yeah, because we need to change it up because everyone see that Racket is our weakness. And like yesterday, Lincoln played against him, and you could see his faults and everything. He's not been at the horses for the last couple of months. I think personally, he's been a good player, a fantastic player for us over the years. But I think his days virtually coming to an end for us now. Even though he is good there, but what he needs to do is just ram his face into a brick wall or one of the stands or something to actually get himself sorted again. Because every time he falls over and hits himself, he scores goals with his head, big black eyes, loses teeth and everything. But yeah, Hume, it's just really strange where he is. Unless he was celebrating a birthday or something from his family, I just can't understand why he's not on the bench. Unless he's not match fit. But he needs to actually improve, and because when he's on his day as well, Denver Hume is fantastic. But then I think he could actually take over Raggett's position anyway. But at the moment, because we've got all the many injuries in defence, that's why we're playing Raggett. But I just can't understand where he is. The only thing I can think of, because it's not injury, he's not injured, but he just can't be match fit.
I don't know whether we try again. Oh no, he's got. I was just about to ask him a question, but he's gone. Gaz, we'll fire this one back to you then. Where was it? It's disappeared. It's completely disappeared. Where's it gone? Tunnicliffe. That's what we're going to talk about. That crunching challenge was just kind of the icing on the cake for a really good all-round performance from him yesterday.
Yeah, it was, and that's the sort of passion we need, from the off. Really, I mean, it's a good clean tackle there. And you just get up and you go again, for me, Tunnicliffe has been hit and miss all season. For me, we watched him against the Scummers at home, didn't we? And we thought, obviously getting back into the team, he found it difficult because obviously at the time we had a good midfield. But it took him a while to now, obviously now he's going to cement a place now because Pack is definitely out now for a long time with the injury. He's come in and done a job. I know we sit here and... obviously, we do put our opinion out there about certain players, but fair play to him. Yesterday, he gave everything for the team, and like I said before, like Bishop, that's all I expect for 90 minutes. Win or draw. If they've given me the shift for 90 minutes, that's all I can ask for a player in our football team.
Welcome to the 181 people who join us live across YouTube and Facebook. It's really good to have you with us this evening. This is 4-0 Sunday Live. It normally runs a little bit smoother around here than it has done so far tonight. But thank you for sticking with us nonetheless. Reese, what are your reflections on Tunnicliffe and what he's been doing for this Pompey side over the last couple of weeks? I know I really want to get something out of you tonight, mate.
I'm scared to speak.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm actually scared to speak every time now.
No, you're right.
But I'll be making sure it's perfect for next Sunday Live when I'm on the laptop properly. It's because I don't have access to do it today, so that's why it's probably all echoey and things. So, and obviously my best impression of a Dalek, which is great. But yes, on Tunnicliffe, I've actually been really impressed with him. I generally have. I know for previous streams I have said about him. And I haven't been too much of a fan of his in the past, purely because obviously you compare him to the other midfielders we got in the squad. But he's really done a job since coming in. He's been fantastic. I think there was a good display yesterday at Lincoln as to how far he's come. He's more up for it. And I do believe, although we joked about it, it's been a change around since he's pulled up his socks, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah.
It generally has. If you think about it, he's been told to pull up his socks, which kind of has a other meaning behind actually doing a better job than he did before, if I'm honest. Yeah. But no, I've been really impressed. He's really fitted into the squad very well, and you can't really pinpoint him for any errors lately.
What did you make of Tunnicliffe's performance on the other side of the line, Jake? Because he's been a player that's received a lot of flack, and I think you were maybe with us in company when we were kind of, we weren't absolutely slating the bloke, but we were kind of saying how his performances perhaps weren't up to scratch, and he might be a weak link in the Pompey side, but didn't look out of place yesterday from an opposition view.
No, I thought your midfield was excellent yesterday, and I think that when not Nathan Jackson, when Adam Jackson, our defender, got injured, we brought on a number 10 to just try and play in that space around Morel and Tunnicliffe. And because in the early exchanges, everything was going through those two. And I thought they played really well. At the time, I might have thought that he should have seen red for the foul. I've watched it back. I think it's a good tackle. But Tunnicliffe was brilliant yesterday. He did the simple thing as well, played the ball forward when he needed to, found some really good passes, through our defensive lines. And yeah, I think that it's been, a nice little story of his to go from villain to hero within a Pompey changing room. And you need players like Tunnicliffe if you're going to do well in this league. And ultimately, I think he might have earned himself just another year to try and prove himself still at Pompey.
And that's actually really helpful with the loss of Marlon Pack, of course, that we were discussing, 4 to 6 weeks being out. And it's great. And he was actually very much not really part of the plans for quite a while, Ryan Tunnicliffe. He was completely out of the fold, and now he's come right back into it. And as you say, it's the ultimate success story. Aaron, let's chat about these then. We like to go through them as and when we can. I think Matt Macy's standout performance, according to this, would tell you everything you really need to know. Jake said he was pleased with the midfield. I mean, that'd be Morel and Tunnicliffe, and obviously Lane was kind of I thought Massinio was quite open and honest, actually, Jake, about how he was kind of talking about the formation changes and how Lincoln were first going to target Morel, and then they came off him a little bit, and we managed to slip him inside. But Aaron, to you, are there any shout outs on there, or any sort of, not shout outs, maybe standouts that you think, yeah, that's fair enough, I'm on board with that?
Yeah, I was a massive critic of Tunnicliffe for months, and go back on all the streams, everything. Everyone knew that I didn't want him at the club and everything, but I've changed my mind now. He's been absolute diamond. He's proper mustard at the moment. He's putting in the shift every time he puts on that shirt. And if I had a hat, I'd eat it, because the criticism I gave him over the months, I think it was well worth the criticism. But then, but sensational last couple of games. And that tackle, what a tackle that was. If he didn't have his leg at the back, his trailing leg, he would have got sent off for that. But
he is early to him, though, isn't he? And I think, actually, I'm really pleased we've been showing this clip a number of times, because it's been doing the rounds on social media, people loving this. But he gets there before, doesn't he? And I know on first look, it looks quick, and it looks like he goes in with a lot of force, perhaps, and it's not reckless, though, and I think that's why it's deemed a clean cut challenge, and he wins the ball early. But anyone else on that screen, Aaron, that you want to give a mention to?
Yeah, Morel as well. He was good as well. But then the only criticism I will get is our striking force. It's just they're really, really low ratings. If Bishop had scored that, he would have been up in the 7s as well. But it's just, and like Paddy Lane, he's a bit of a disappointment at the moment, but he's still new to the team. Like he came on as a sub the other day. He should have actually started last week, but I think that's why he got started yesterday. But they've just got to gel. Once them 4 gel, it should be a different story altogether. I would like to see Curtis start, actually, and now he's back. See what Curtis and Paddy Lane are like with each other, with Dale on the other side. See that combination as well. But I can't fault the defence or the midfield, and even our goalkeeper outstanding again. It's just that final third.
Gaz, this is obviously something that you brought us into doing here on the channel and doing the player ratings. I mean, it's very plain, simple, one-dimensional analysis, perhaps, but it looks like we look good defensively in midfield, and then everything just falls apart attacking-wise, doesn't it, really, if you just take one look at it?
And even for Lincoln yesterday, their goalkeeper was... he played really well at the back there as well. Obviously, Macy was out for the game on Tuesday through illness. So it's good to see him come straight back and put in a shift, for that sort of score. It just goes to show the sort of professional that we've got now. I think he's far superior to what we had for Griffiths from a goalkeeper point. And at the back, it does seem to be a sort of a formation, a sort of back four we're familiar with at the moment. Obviously, we've still got the Dijon Mustard situation to come in. Does he replace Raggett, and Raggett goes out, on the bench? It is harsh, because Raggett is one of our talismans, shall we say, for the last few seasons, and he always seems to be there. I know we always talk about, some defensive errors, etc., but you can't fault the bloke week in, week out. How many times does he get injured in a season, Raggett? He's always there at the back. So we can't, can't be too opinionated about the guy. Just that. Unfortunately, when he makes a mistake, it's a bad one,
costly,
and it's what everyone talks about. But again, he does put a shift in. I don't think he'll be there next season. I think there'll be obviously just going to be changes throughout the squad, some dead wood going out, etc. But for now, he puts his heart in the sleeve, and obviously Towler's already said he's learning. Well, it's a bit scary at the moment saying he's learning a bit stuff off Raggett. I don't know what he's actually learning off Raggett, but hopefully it's not defensive errors. Obviously,
trying to improve his game. Jake, just
with defensive errors with Raggett, that's for sure. But yeah, defensively look good. We've got players we do have a good squad of numbers. It's just getting them all fit at the same time. On paper we've got some good players. You got these new guys coming in now. Looking forward for next season. So there is a definite blend of experience there. There's some youth there. For me personally, I know you've been talking about the playoffs. For me, playoffs is gone. It's only mathematically possible, but for me, playoffs is gone. So now it's a case of confidence where we go from now to the end of the season. Some players, possibly like Tunnicliffe, like one of the guys put there in the comments, he might be playing for a new contract for next season. Some of these players might be playing for new contracts because already, you're looking now. What is it now? Tail end of the season. Where do people want to be next season? They want to be at Portsmouth. Okay, I'll put a shift in now. It might be a few games too late. However, like the likes of Tunnicliffe, if he puts a shift in now to the end of the season, would we carry him for next season? He's a guy that's going to replace Pat now for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So he might have a really good, a good state for next year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens between now and the end of the year.
Just finally on that, Gaz, Dan said you made a great suggestion last week regarding Jacobs in a number 10 role. Any thoughts? And it would allow us to play Dane and Lane on either flank. And actually, I think Andy Moon, who's obviously friend of the show, mentioned to John Messina after the game, is Paddy Lane comfortable in that number 10 role? And actually, Gaz, how much space would that free up if you actually put a number 10 that's comfortable? And I remember his actual interview coming in, Paddy Lane, he was like, well, I want to play on the right and come in on the left and make things happen. That's not what he's been instructed to do under Messina, so that probably needs to change.
Yeah, not at the moment. He's playing a role where he's probably not as comfortable as what he was at Fleetwood. I mean, last season, what was he? Was it the
Young player of the season in League One.
Player of the season of the year for the EFL, but not playing as a number 10. They're not playing in that role, So he's playing in a position where Messina possibly wants to change him. Maybe he's seen something on the training ground, or he might have played that back in the day. He's only a young kid at the moment. He might have played it there once or twice, but Jacobs coming in does give something different. For me, Jacobs isn't as dynamic as most number 10s are. You look at number 10s across the League One, as they say. I wouldn't say he's as prolific as a number 10, but yeah, Paddy Lane on that side would be the place for me. I'd put him. Again, it's formation at the moment. We played 4-4-2s this season. We played 4-3-3s, and we don't seem to have a starting 11, a formation. It's like an identity crisis at the moment because we're sort of like open the wardrobe and see what we've got for the weekend, and then we'll just shut the door again. It's like it's that sort of time at the moment at Portsmouth. But we'll just go on to Cheltenham. What we got?
Yeah, thank you for bringing us on to Cheltenham. Just finally, Jake, on the stats. I mean, people might be sat there at home thinking, "Oh, he's a Lincoln City fan. He's going to come on here and say that you deserved to you would have been upset with a point, and you feel like you could have taken all three." But if you look, expected goals wise, very similar. Shots very similar. Lots of big chances either way. It was a pretty 50-50 game. And we said afterwards, Lincoln have the first, Pompey have the second. It contributes to a draw overall. Just finally, I want to get on to Cheltenham, of course.
Yeah, just to summarise it quickly, I think it was the most unlikely 0-0 game you'll ever see, based on the amount of big chances that were fluffed by both teams. And ultimately, I think both teams walking away with a point was the right result. And hopefully both can kickstart and have a decent run to now the end of the season.
I've very secretly snuck in a Cheltenham Town fan, Matt, who joins us tonight. Good evening to you, mate. Thank you for being with us. And the last time we saw Matt was on our transfer deadline day stream, which we had a little bit of an insight. It was right at the tail end of it, and we literally gave him 5 minutes to chat about Cheltenham. He did really well. So thanks for your company again, Matt. It was a 4-0 written all over it yesterday, and it's sorry to bring you on to discuss that straight away. Tell us about it. 3-0 down at half time is never going to be that salvageable, even when you're at home, and the win might have been in yourselves against a really good Barnsley side.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely tragic, to be honest. Thanks for having me on, by the way, and good evening to everyone. I mean, where to start with it? From minute one, we didn't look interested, which was a bit of a surprise because obviously we had a good battling win against Cambridge on the Tuesday. We just had no passion. There didn't really look any desire to go out and get something. We gave them far too much respect. And I mean, to be honest, they were just, we gave them the run of one road, to be honest. They had an easy day at the office, and the scoreline reflected that, unfortunately. But that's been a bit of a pattern at times this season.
I was about to say, you've had a few of those, haven't you? And this, not to be disrespectful, but when the big occasions come, when you're big hitters, you tend to lose the game quite dramatically and in dramatic circumstances. I remember you had an exciting one against Derby a couple of weeks ago, and I think you've had Plymouth at home as well this season already, or it might have been away from home. But when the big ones come around, it all tends to fall apart from a Cheltenham point of view. Do you know why that might be? Or maybe you'd be the manager if you knew why that was. But what do you make of it all?
Well, to be honest, I do agree with you. But at the same time, I think we do look better against, other than obviously yesterday, we do seem to look better against the bigger sides in this league. Derby, we had a decent game, but we didn't come away with anything. Plymouth away, we lost 4-2. But arguably, there was definitely something in the game for us if we took our chances. It was just yesterday just completely, I guess, just chucked that idea in the bin, to be honest, because I think against the bigger sides we have been all right. But I can see where you're coming from in terms of goals conceded. To be honest, it's hard to pin it down to anything. I think it's just potentially playing with no pressure. I think that there's definitely been times this season where you look at the losses we've had, the pressure's been on after losses against teams that we should be battling against in our area of the table. You look at obviously our cup runs and then both in the first round. So it's hard to pin it to anything other than, well, to be honest, I wouldn't even say that the pressure factor comes in. I think it's just been a very, very strange season. But I suppose with Wade Elliott, first season as a first team head coach, it's to a certain extent expected, but it's still frustrating nevertheless.
It's a very lovely message from the man himself, Hayward, who said, "We have a mention for yourself going all to these away games, weekend, weekday. Actually mental how many miles you put in for the content." Well, Gaz is going to be doing a lot more miles over the month of March. He's going to come and join us for a load of them. Aaron, I was going to come to you. A lot of Pompey fans will be sitting here reflecting, getting ready for Cheltenham next weekend, thinking, oh, Cheltenham Town, that rings a bell. Obviously, the 6-1, probably the most memorable moment against them back in 2017 on the 6th of May when we won League Two in dramatic style. Obviously, the permutations the next weekend will be far from that of our last gasp title win, of course. It's a shame that it hasn't got that much riding on it. But what do you expect from next weekend?
I expect our team to actually put in a shift, to play 90 minutes how they played for the last 15 yesterday. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. I want every single player to turn up, wear that shirt with pride, and go out and commit to every tackle, every shot, and actually get the ball in the back of the net. We need a minimum of 2 goals a minute because our goal difference is ridiculous. Yes and no, I say, playoffs and everything like that. But realistically, if we do actually end up in the playoffs, are we seriously going to beat these 6 teams up there? And if we do get promotion, we'll be fighting relegation next season because we haven't got a squad big good enough to actually stay in the championship. So I think give it as much as you can, get as many wins behind our belts, and then try and crack on for next season and get some championship players in So then next season we can actually make a massive jump to get to the Championship. But next Saturday, I just want them to put in a shift. Yeah, we got the history there for the 6-1 win, and what a day that was, running on the pitch, celebrating everything, even though the trophy wasn't there, it was somewhere else. But yeah, it's a completely different scenario now. But we just need to put in a shift. I can anticipate that Cheltenham are actually going to park the bus. So it's going to be very, very difficult for us to actually get into them and break them down. But we just need to be committed, put in the tackles, get the crosses into the box, and even get Raggett up there because he's a tall lad. And if he scores a couple of goals with his head, fair enough. But we need to put in a shift next week.
Gaz, Aaron's absolutely right. I think it was something that I was saying before the game to Dad, actually, before we went to Lincoln. But we just really need to, with no disrespect to Matt, who's very kindly given us his time on the stream, but we just need to stick 3 or 4 past him on Saturday, just by way of confidence for this group of players, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it takes 70 minutes for Pompey to actually kick in, because the last sort of couple of games is like we're just like struggling to play football. Then we have like the last sort of 15, 20 minutes, and it's good football. And we got a result against Burton, and we had a almost an unbelievable chance at the end of Lincoln game. But that's the sort of intensity we need to start the game. Cheltenham were 3-0 down by half time. That's the sort of intensity I'd like to see us play. That sort of comfortable sort of. They play 5 across the midfield. I saw on their lineups, and it's going to be difficult. Like I said, they could park the bus. It's going to be a midfield battle, but I don't see Cheltenham as a threat on Saturday. No disrespect to the guest that's on the stream. I just think it's going to be a bounce back effect from confidence going in from the Lincoln game against Cheltenham for sure.
Logan said Pepe said last week. Logan said Pepe said last week. We need a big win, and we haven't had a 4-0 written all over it since March. Jake, from your point of view, against the Cheltenham side, can we see a pending 4-0 written all over it win? Do you mind repeating what you said to me on the phone a couple of days? Doing this again. Mind repeating what you said to me on the phone about Cheltenham a couple of days ago? I know we're in the presence of Matt, but do you not remember?
I cannot remember. I say a lot of things on the phone, Tom.
Were they one of your 4 teams to go down this season?
Do you know what? I think they are. Yeah, because the thing with Cheltenham, and Matt will agree, they just about keep their heads above water. They've had some disastrous moments this year. They lost to Alvechurch in the first round of the Cup. They got beat. Was it 7-0 by Exeter, Matt?
Sorry, Matt. We didn't mean to just get you on here and
7-0
completely.
Yeah, 7. Do you know what? And they just keep bobbing their heads above the water, and ultimately I just think that the water's going to rise above them. Obviously, I've not seen Cheltenham this year. We're yet to play them, which is quite bizarre to be in February. We've not played them yet. I think we've got them twice in the space of 3 or 4 weeks in March. But yesterday, I don't think you can really speak about yesterday in too much, because obviously it was Michael Duff returning to Wallen Road. Michael Duff knows Cheltenham Football Club inside out. I think he knows Wade Elliott inside out, and I think he would have known the weaknesses within that Cheltenham squad, and they would have exploited those. And I've not watched the game back, but the highlights would indicate that. Do I think there's an opportunity to be a 4-0 win for Pompey on Saturday? Potentially, but I think there's equally a bigger chance for Cheltenham to come and upset the apple cart, because they've got some good players in that team. Alfie May, whilst he's not been his best this year, is a really good League One striker, and if I'm honest, might get in the Pompey side if he's on form. They've got some other good players as well. Freeston at the back. Caleb Taylor is one of the star loanees in League One this year on loan from West Brom. I've been impressed with them a couple of times, but I've also been really disappointed in them. And for me, I can see Cheltenham putting up a fight. I don't think it's going to be the 4-0 that you're all hoping for. I think it might be something like a 2-1 or a 1-0. And I think Cheltenham will have a bit of fight about them. Like Matt says, they play well against the better sides. Who knows? They might sneak a draw, might get a 0-0 win, Tom, like you say that we do all the time against you lot. So, I wouldn't write Cheltenham off, because they're a fairly decent side, and they'll have threats, and I'm sure John Messina will come up with a game plan to counteract that. But if on their day, Cheltenham can cause some damage for you.
The Young Fan Podcast, the man himself's in the building. He said, any good restaurants in Newport need some recommendations. I don't know whether he's in Newport, and he did clarify that he wasn't in Newport. I know he spends a little bit of time in Wales, but he's not in Newport. I think he's just a little bit concerned by going down to League Two. And Mr. Sean Hamilton himself has said, where are the goals coming from? And that's something that he says often, and I think he's the proof's in the pudding now. Right, we're coming up to 8 o'clock. We're going to go around the group on some score predictions. Matt, just quickly, as we are getting closer and closer to our hour being up, what are you expecting from the pot? Are you coming down, Matt? Are you going to be joining us?
Yeah, I will be, yeah.
Good lad. Good man. Look forward to seeing you Saturday. What are you expecting from this Pompey side, and a score prediction, if you would, please?
I mean, if you can improve on your performance against Lincoln and actually, take your chances, it'll be 3 or 4, 100%. If we play anything like we did against Barnsley, and we have this season, you guys will. You'll score goals, that's for certain. And to be honest, I mean, I'm looking at our last 5. We've scored 2 in our last 5, and they've both come away at Cambridge. And we go to Fratton Park, which is never an easy place to play. And we're low on confidence. And obviously, we got Plymouth away on Tuesday as well in the semi-final of the trophy. So it's not exactly an ideal situation for us to be playing you guys. But score prediction. I mean, 3-1 to you guys, to be honest. I just, the confidence is not there.
Well, safe travels when you come down on Saturday, and we can definitely arrange to meet up and get your thoughts within a couple of hours of the game. Aaron, I mean, you've just heard an opposition fan predict a 3-1 win for Pompey. I mean, the floodgates are open for you, mate. It's Mr. Pompey positive all the time. Go on, go for it. What's your score?
Well, I'm actually going to say 1-0 because they're going to come with a plan. They're going to park the bus, and it's going to be very, very difficult to score against them because they're going to have like 5 in defence. So we're going to get them on the counter, and that's the only way we're actually going to score. But it'd be nice to say like 4-0 and everything, but where are the goals coming from? Because our players aren't actually scoring that for lately. And yeah, 1-0.
Melissa said the show's been fun tonight. Sean reckons another squeaky 1-0 win, a 1-0 steal. Dan's agreeing with you, Matt. He's saying it's going to be a 3-1 Pompey. Logan said, I would absolutely love a 4-1 over it, but our attacking confidence isn't the best. I'll go for a 2-0 Pompey win. Dan saying 3-0. Gaz?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 3-0. I would like to say 4-0 written all over it, obviously. If we don't concede, which that would be another bonus because it's another clean sheet amongst the team. It's the confidence. If we go there and batter Cheltenham on Saturday, maybe that puts us the confidence to go on for it. I hope Cheltenham fans have a safe journey down and enjoy the game. But yeah, I'll take a 1-0. I just take a win at the moment. Confidence, performance, they're important as well. Ready to go into Cheltenham.
And I'm delighted to say that over the next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing a lot more of Gaz on the actual videos as well in person. He's coming over for a couple of games. Looking forward to our excitement across the country, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Cambridge. I'm not being to Cambridge that game there, so I'm looking forward to that one. Accrington, I was there obviously on my own, the only Pompey fan at Accrington. I couldn't believe I was on the plane and they'd already cancelled the game. When I was just about to leave, you just said the game's off. It's like, open the plane door. I was in Brussels, but I still went up to Accrington and I still enjoyed the weekend up there, so that was good. And where's the other one now? Bristol Rovers away. So yeah, 3 away games for me for March. So magic March for me. So yeah, time away from the Love Island, Italy.
Can't wait to see you, mate. Jake, you have the closing word on this week's 4-0 Sunday Live. Expectations for Pompey Cheltenham next weekend. It's not the most incredible game for you to give a final closing word on, I appreciate. But what do you reckon?
I think whilst you also create a lot of chances, you also give quite a lot away. I think if you give Alfie May a sniff, I think he's going to take it. And I know I'm not going to make any friends here, but I'm going to go Pompey 1, Cheltenham 1.
That was a really nice way to end it on a positive. Thanks very much for that.
You're
Much
welcome, Matt.
appreciated. Well, in which case we'll say that Lee's going for a 3-1 win up the Blues, and of course play at Pompey. And I think that's the way we will end it all. Kit the Brit said 2-0 Pompey.
Tom?
Sorry.
How did the poll?
The poll.
For the man of the match.
Yes. Man of the match, very quickly. Thank you for that. I've almost completely forgot, but I did ask a couple of hours ago. We had 164 votes for a man of the match performance at Sensill Bank yesterday. We're actually tied in 4th place. We're tied in 3rd place, actually. Matt Macy and Ryan Tunnicliffe both have 22% share of the vote. Joe Morrell, 24% share of the vote. And if you do the quick maths, everyone will have quickly realised, we can quickly have a look in your chat as well, is Joe Rafferty led the way on 32%. I don't think we mentioned him enough, but he had a really good game, and I'm delighted the way he's fitted back into this side. Dawn on Facebook said, I think if Ronan and Louis start, we will win. They had a lot more going forward. Dylan said, good stream tonight. See you Saturday. Safe travel to Forest Green. Jake, enjoy it, mate. It's an experience and a half, as I'm sure Matt will tell you, being from just around the corner. Cornish Pompey's going for a 3-1 win. And George Sadler's saying 3-0 Rags, perfect hat-trick. And the way we're going to end the stream tonight is by saying a massive congratulations to Pompey women, who beat Cheltenham ladies 2-1 today. Are Pompey going to do the same next weekend? Maybe double it and make it 4-0 written all over it. Keep the faith. Thanks for joining us. And as always, see you next week. Play at Pompey.
Play at Pompey.